I'm Hank Stolz, and we are speaking with Worcester Police Chief Gary Gemme, talking about the new Shotspotter. This is just going live this week in Worcester, Massachusetts, and it is cutting-edge technology. Chief, thank you so much for stopping by.
My pleasure, Hank. Nice to be here.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about this. First, give us an overview of exactly what Shotspotter is.
Shotspotter is a system based on the most up-to-date technology that allows us to monitor 6 square miles in the city of Worcester for gunfire. And we're able to detect both the sound of gunfire, and every time gunfire takes place, it also creates a visual. So it's kind of a dual way of determining whether or not you're accurately identifying gunfire. So we hear the sound is analyzed, a picture of it appears on the computer, it's reviewed. Within 30 seconds, our officers are notified out on the street that where gunshots are taking place. So it really facilitates the process, because right now, based on studies, we know that it takes about 11 minutes for a gunshot to be reported to the police, and then the officer has to respond. With ShotSpotter, we get a 30-second turnover of when that shot takes place to when we're notified and that gunfire is confirmed. So it really does give us an advantage in terms of responding to the area where it's taken place, but more specifically, it targets in on the area where the gunfire is actually taking place. So rather than a general area, we know specifically where it's taking place.
That's amazing. All right, so obviously a guy running away and he's got 11 minutes to kind of get away, or he's got 30 seconds, because that's going to be the response time then is just so much quicker. So what actually happens? So this shot goes off, and somehow ShotSpotter is able to discern that it really is a gunshot. They don't think that it's a backfire. They don't think that it's there's all the noise out there, Chief. How do they know? How does ShotSpotter able to say, no, this is a gunshot and not some other noise?
Again, it's based on utilizing technology to determine the accuracy of what's taking place. So if it's a firecracker out there, it won't register the same sound or the same visual on the computer screen that gunfire has. Gunfire will create a very specific visual as well as very distinct sound. So it's not just a human element, a person sitting there evaluating. It's based on technology, technological overview of what occurred. It makes it more accurate in terms of identifying gunfire. So it's about 85% accurate in terms of identifying gunfire, and we feel that's going to be a giant improvement over where we are today.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I'm really fascinated by the technology of it, that we are at a point in 2014 where you can even have something like this. All right, so the gunshot goes off. Now it comes back to the station. What happens at the station? do buzzers go off? Red lights flash? How does this get activated?
Well, right now, the way it's designed is that every officer in all our offices have laptops in their computer will be notified via the computer. They'll get an email message, they'll get an alert, they can bring up on their screen the same screen that we have in the police department, the same screen that ShotSpotter has, that zeroes in on the area where the gunfire is taking place, and it will direct the officer into that specific location. At the station, we have, at our real-time crime center, we have cameras, we have ShotSpotter, we can observe the technology, we can bring up video cameras in a particular area where gunfire is taking place, maybe provide additional information to the officers, help direct them to the area and provide them with any identifying information we have, whether it's a car or a suspect or anything like that. And then again, our investigators will all receive an email alert, which will, when they hit that email, it'll come up and it'll have the map of where the gunfire has taken place, so they can immediately respond. So again, it's in all the iPhones, the laptops, the iPads, and again, at our real-time crime center. So it does provide us with a tremendous amount of
It's incredible. The speed is incredible to me too, and the part about where it goes directly to the cruiser. So there isn't a dispatch. So it doesn't go to like a central dispatch, and then that person is taking another moment to get it out to the officers. Somebody is maybe a block away from where this incident happened, or a street away. They get that information right away, and then on their own, they can respond to what is happening.
That's correct. But at the same time it's going to our offices out on the street, it's going to communications where the people in dispatch, the communications department, will have that same information. Every police officer who has either an iPad, smartphone, or a computer will know when that's taken place and where it's taken place. So again, it provides instant information to the officers about where gunfire is taking place.
All right, tell me about this other element that you just mentioned as well. So Shotspotter happens. We know that it is a gunshot. Everybody is responding to this area. At the real-time crime scene, you're immediately going into action as well, and you are accessing these cameras. What are these cameras? This is like Joe's Pizza Shop has a security camera, and you're able to. How are you able to access that?
Well, there's a lot of cameras that are in the process of tying into, whether they're schools, they could be colleges, they could be different businesses in the city that have cameras. The city has numerous cameras and intersections. So all of those cameras we can tie into through our real-time crime center. So if we have a specific location, we can bring up that location. If we are tied into those cameras, then we can monitor what's taking place directly from our real-time crime center and provide additional information to the officers that are responding to the gunshots. And it could be critical information. So it's all with the whole idea is to be able to respond quickly to gunfire, to do it safely, and provide the officers with as much information as possible so they can effectively respond.
Chief, this really is cutting edge. Other cities that are doing this, you've seen this technology in action?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And Boston is big on ShotSpotter. They've had it for a number of years. They think it's one of the most effective tools that they have in addressing gun violence in their community. And we believe that based on all of our research, and again, we didn't get into this overnight. We've been looking at ShotSpotter for the last 4 or 5 years, reviewing the technology, looking at other police departments, and then seeing how we could fund it and bring it to the city of Worcester. And we were very fortunate that we've been able to fund it. We have funding for the next 3 years. We're going to see how effective it is, and we believe, the police department believes, that it's going to be so effective that the community will support it in the long term.
Well, actually, and I certainly would go along with that. I mean, it certainly seems from the way that you described it. Again, I'm just amazed. I mean, it's something that if it had been in a movie 10, 20 years ago, people would have thought that it was almost science fiction. It's amazing how fast this technology moves. But you're a stats guy, and you said you've seen this in the other cities. Then, so there are statistics. I mean, how has it affected police departments?
Well, the way it affects police departments is that you find out very quickly that there's a lot more gunfire going on in your community than's being reported. So we know that only a small portion of gunfire is being reported to the police department.
I just want to stop you for a second right there, because that surprises me. If there's shots going on in my neighborhood, I'm not reporting it, or are some people unfortunately living in neighborhoods in which there's gunshots is just a part of everyday life?
It's unfortunate, but that's what the data shows. And we know just over the last week and a half of capturing what's taken place in terms of gunshots, the number of gunshot calls in a city that has not been reported to the police department. So one, we know that we're going to get more gunshots, we're going to get more information. And the more information that we have, the more accurate information about where gunshots are taking place, the better we can respond to gun violence, because our crime analysts will review that data. We'll be able to identify more specifically areas where gunfire is taking place, direct resources into those areas. And again, part of our investigative strategy will be to knock on businesses, knock on doors, try to find out who has video cameras, who has video surveillance that we can use to build a case, or at least identify those individuals that are involved in gun violence. Because when we look at our victims of gun violence, our suspects of gun violence, we know that it's a small group of violent offenders in the community. If we can better target the location, then our response will be more effective in terms of identifying the individuals in specific locations where this gunfire is taking place.
And let me clarify, when you're accessing the cameras, that's because ShotSpotter has gone off and you're accessing a camera in that area. This is not a program where you're accessing those cameras at random times, or those cameras are keeping surveillance. We live in a society now in which people are very concerned about their about their privacy. We hear the stories about the NSA. How much are you kind of keeping an eye just in general on people in Worcester?
Right. We don't do any monitoring or general monitoring or surveillance of the public, nor do we store any video surveillance on a regular basis about what's going on in the community. The only time that we will download video is if we can use that video as part of an investigation to bring a criminal complaint against an individual. And so that's very selective, because trying to capture all the video surveillance that's going on in the community, you would need storage capacity that no municipality could afford. And you wouldn't have the resources to vet that video surveillance to try and find out exactly what you're looking for. What we do is, when we know a time and a location, then we can knock on businesses and say, we need video surveillance that covers from 1 o'clock to 1:15, because we know a crime took place in your neighborhood. And so then they usually provide access to that video, and if it has value, then we'll get a copy of that. If it has no value to the investigation, then we don't have any interest in obtaining it, because again, it would become a issue of storage, protecting the integrity of that evidence. So if we don't need it, we don't want it.
Amazing. Shotspotter live this week in Worcester.
We believe that will be live probably end of the week, beginning of next week. We're just trying to wrap up a direct app to facilitate the process of the officers. When they get an alert, they can quickly hit the app to bring up Shotspotter technology rather than have a multiple step process. And again, it has to do with technical services and having that firewall and having an easy access through that firewall, so that it just makes it more practical for the officers in the cruiser, and it facilitates the process.
Worcester Police Chief Gary Gemme,